He was driving along, minding his own business. Two fighter jets, he said, in between expletives. The Ukrainians are shooting. And it was inside Russia. Today, the local authorities were helping civilians to flee several small towns in Russia's Kursk region. Scenes so familiar in Ukraine, now echoed across the border after an unprecedented large-scale Ukrainian incursion. It fell to the regional acting governor to inform President Putin of the latest developments today.
First of all, having assessed the situation, we began to evacuate people. This was a rather difficult problem because the Ukrainian armed forces' sabotage and reconnaissance groups were shelling the civilian population and ambulances.
Yesterday's surrender of Russian troops to Ukrainian forces may have angered President Putin even more, as it reveals that the Russians were taken by surprise. After a series of recent successes inside Ukraine, they were not expecting an attack within their own borders.
Everyone can see that the Ukrainian army knows how to use surprise and knows how to achieve results. This is demonstrated on the battlefield, where our soldiers not only withstood the overwhelming force of the occupiers, but also are destroying it in order to protect Ukraine, our state and independence.
In their summer offensive, Russian forces have taken new tracts of Ukrainian territory, reversing previous Ukrainian gains. They're now advancing on the garrison towns of Toretsk and Pokrovsk. But the Ukrainian incursion into the Kursk region of Russia at Nikolaevo-Darynyo has forced Russian troops in Sverdlikovo and Sudzha onto the defensive. The Russians have released footage they say shows the targeting of Ukrainian armoured vehicles. Some analysts say crossing the border is a mistake because the Ukrainians need all their manpower to defend their own territory, but others see strategic advantage.
Now, this one operation by the Ukrainians will have to change the way the Russians view their entire border defense. There can't have these no defended areas or weakly defended areas anymore. That will lead to a huge strategic change. The Russian-Ukrainian border is very long. And if the Russians are actually going to have to defend a lot of it, that will require a significant allocation of force.
Today, the town of Sudzha was burning. It's not clear whether countries that back Ukraine approved this maneuver. Until now, the Americans discouraged the Ukrainians from crossing the border, especially with US weaponry, for fear of justifying Putin's assertion that this is a war between Russia and the West. But desperate times call for desperate measures.
Lindsay Hilson. Well, earlier I was joined from Kyiv by Alina Frolova, who is a former Ukrainian Deputy Defense Minister. I started by asking her whether there was a strategic reason for Ukraine's incursion into Russia.
It doesn't seem like an operation which just suddenly was decided, because from what we know, the forces which are deployed, I mean, the quality of the forces are quite high. We see that it's like a quite well-planned operation. And from some, I don't know, other signs, it's obviously seen that this operation was planned.
Do you know if President Zelensky and his military chiefs checked with their Western allies before they started the operation?
Based on the reaction of our Western partners, it doesn't look like they knew about the operation, and which is like quite a good that no one knew. But
if it upsets, people in Washington, Paris, London, Berlin, the people who've been giving you the weapons, is it a good idea or not?
I don't think that we're fighting for having approval. Yes, we're fighting for our lives, and we always need to, first of all, consider this one. But from what we see now, there is no upset.
Is there also a sense of urgency here? You've got the American elections coming up on November the 5th. If Trump wins that election, then things could turn quite negative for you quite quickly. Is there a sense of urgency here that you want to really move the front line, have some, serious victories under your belt before that date?
I think that the biggest pressure for us still is the longer we are in war, the more losses of human lives, economy, and morale we have. So I think that the biggest pressure of having the efficiency is that one. However, the elections also influence. For us, the situation is clear, but yes, it's difficult. I mean, sometimes it's extremely difficult to keep the morale high. And obviously, this operation is also influences very good on the average perception of the abilities and capabilities of our forces.
And of course, Vladimir Putin is able to use this incursion into the Kursk region to basically step up his own mobilization of men in his own country.
I don't think that he needs some reason to step up into mobilization. I mean, that they have a little bit different. You still consider this situation from democratic point of view, that you need some reasoning behind. No, he doesn't.
How much trouble are you in now compared to, let's say, a year ago?
It's difficult to compare because all the time we have some new challenges. We already forget some kind of normal times when we speak about that. This is part of our life now, unfortunately.
And are you afraid that the rest of the world, distracted by events in the Middle East, distracted by elections in America and other things, is getting bored of your existential war?
I don't feel it like that. First of all, because the polls among the key nations, they demonstrate that the nations are still supporting Ukraine. Plus, what I see from, for example, 2022 or beginning of 2023, that most of European politicians, for example, they already clearly understand the threat, and they took the long-term involvement and their obligations of supporting Ukraine, and they have more clear understanding of necessity of Ukraine winning than it was even 1 year ago.
Okay, Alina Frolova, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.